All right, we've got a great panel here about the future of Bitcoin. So I'm Brandon of Green Candle. I'll have everybody kind of go down and introduce themselves and the company that they're working for. A couple of you guys have already been on stage, but we'll go down the line. Andre, start with you.
Cool. I'm Andre, CTO, co-founder of ZBD. You heard all about me, so I'll skip. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Dave DiNeno, founder of Satlantis. We're a Bitcoin-based video game.
Hey, Chris. Hey, guys. I'm Chris, founder of Open Agents, AI agent platform with Bitcoin. We just launched today, openagents.com. Thanks. Yeah. Have a mic, please.
Oh, there we go. Very PlebLab, huh? But we have obviously Bitcoin's a rapidly developing space, right? There's a lot of growing things going on. There's Lightning obviously being developed. AI and gaming are also two very developing industries. So obviously you two right here work on the gaming side of things. You're seeing how it's kind of developing with micropayments, but where do you see the future kind of continuing to grow? Do you think that, every single game is going to start to implement something around like micropayments? I know some games have their own token and things like that kind of in the games, but how do you see that kind of developing in the Bitcoin space, sort of merging in the gaming space?
First off, no doubt every game's going to have to eventually accept Bitcoin as a form of payment. I think that's the most standard thing. And then, I think we'll see a lot of interesting new use cases. Speaking for us, because of the instant finality of Bitcoin, we're able to do kind of like an instant cashback prize pool system where we do a revenue share with our players. As soon as someone comes on and buys a cosmetic for, 100,000 sats, we put 50,000 sats into a prize pool immediately, because they can't charge back and because we have instant settlement, which we can then give back out to players. So new use cases opening up because of Bitcoin and gaming.
Yeah, I think from our side, I agree. Like Bitcoin, in a world where Bitcoin thrives and people use Bitcoin left and right, it is the simplest, cheapest, best form of digital money. And so it will just eat everything. So whether it's a game or an app or a system, like Bitcoin will be part of it. It may not be that every game has Bitcoin money inside of it. Like it may not be that every game has sats, that if I shoot you, I get your sats. It is still a monetizing money, right? So like the fluctuations still affect game developers and so on. But I think the notion of interoperability will always be the case. Like in the future, you'll be able to take your value, your worth, your monetary piece from one game to another experience So whether I make money in Atlantis and I take it over to Roblox because they're going to implement Bitcoin eventually, right? And then I think in terms of what's next, like it or not, fortunately or unfortunately, in gaming, there is a notion of assets, right? People want to own their stuff. I have a sword from 10 years ago in World of Warcraft. Like I want to have that and show it off and maybe even trade that. So, NFTs happened in 2021, came and went. Now we have this thing called ordinals, and like it or not, people are asking about this, right? So I think there is a lot of stuff that will be put into Bitcoin, whether we like it or not. It's an open network. We don't control it. And we have to adapt. And games are driving crazy. Like, for those who don't know, some games have 300 million daily active users. Like, this is a whole different world, right? We had some games that implements in the platform, and then 2 weeks later they go live, and they don't tell us that they go live because it's a self-serve sort of business. And all of a sudden we get like 30,000 new daily active users that just pop up. And imagine in Bitcoin receiving 30,000 daily active users in your app. That's massive, but in gaming, that's minuscule. It's tiny, non-existent. So merging the two, in my opinion, is going to bring a lot of users into Bitcoin. So that's why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah, that's great stuff. So obviously another developing industry is AI. So Chris, I mean, with OpenSats, like what you guys are bringing to the table, I think, being able to monetize APIs is an absolute game changer. And like the revenue sharing, I think there's so many other applications as well. So, in an industry where not a lot of people, I guess, outside of the Bitcoin space are kind of seeing how it merges together. How are you kind of seeing that, I guess, in all in one, like developing the overall AI like industry and bringing that to the Bitcoin space, whether it's, micropayments or making it more open source, that kind of aspect of things?
Yeah, I'd say step one, just to emphasize, it's almost a meme at this point, but it's pretty clear that Bitcoin is the logical payment mechanism, the logical money for AI agents. Like, what are agents going to be paying each other? Are they going to be opening LLCs and bank accounts and like, hell no, they're going to be paying like permissionless internet money. They're not going to be like setting up Solana wallets and negotiating 1,000 different shitcoins. Like it's going to be Bitcoin. That's pretty solved. What I'm excited about is that Bitcoin can enable signal to emerge. What you have now are a whole bunch of, VC-backed startups trying to build these, what they think are going to be the picks and shovels of the AI economy. Infra. I saw a tweet from a prominent New York VC, not an AI, not a Bitcoin guy, but saying how like they've made so many like investments in sort of AI tooling startups that they're now like looking at companies that can help provide tools and services for the AI infrastructure companies. And it's like they're doing this inception of bullshit, like with just raining money from VCs coming down and paying for they don't know what. They're like, oh yeah, everyone's trying to look at this through the lens of things that have happened in the past. Where for me the opportunity is like, let's actually just charge money for things and like and let actual markets build, because the problem right now is there's no use case. I was at this AI conference a few months ago, and one of the top AI VCs was having this little salon. And they had 20 of the top like AI founders and operators sitting around in a circle. And the VC guy asked, can anyone give me an example of an AI agent that's working in production today? Silence. No one could say a single thing. Where's the use cases? I don't know. But I think I know how to find it, which is instead of, teams of 5 nerds finding their closest checkbook and saying, hey, we have this amazing pedigree, we're going to build this thing in private and we're going to replace this particular subset of society as a developer, and people thinking, oh yeah, that sounds good. Maybe you can flip that to Microsoft if you don't succeed or whatever. Like, I just think there's a much bigger opportunity for us to kind of solve this collectively and say, okay, if there's something that people in this room are willing to pay sats for, like that's the first initial indicator. What are you people in this room willing to pay for? If you're willing to part with your Bitcoin for something, and I bet there's something. If you're an investor, if you're a developer, there's some way that we can configure agents that can improve your productivity, improve your efficiency in some way. That's my firm belief. We just got to find what that is. Have you be comfortable with it, that you've got a rev share stream that you're willing to pay for it. Pay that to developers. It's value for value applied to AI.
There we go. That got me fired up. I love that, man. But so obviously, you guys are in 2 developing industries as well, like rapidly growing, a lot of active users. You were kind of talking about a little bit, Andre, and then the amount of people who use AI on a daily basis rapidly growing, right? But there's going to be some resistance at some point in time, right? Andre, your talk earlier today was great, talking about not being able to run Facebook ads when you mentioned Bitcoin, like a lot of things. So when you bring up Bitcoin in these developing industries, what are some potential roadblocks that you're running into, and like what are some things that you're, I guess, like kind of utilizing to your advantage to, I guess, like although they're trying to make it a roadblock, kind of twist that and make that a positive to kind of help you guys grow in your respective industries?
I mean, yeah, we ran into a pretty big roadblock when Microsoft deplatformed us for using Bitcoin. So, but it did open up new opportunities where now we can build essentially Minecraft's functionality in an open source way and invite the open source community to help build it and do this, Bitcoin-based revenue sharing system where everyone could take part in it, and the product could be a lot bigger than a Minecraft server. It could be, a virtual world that the users actually could share in the revenue and the growth of that they play in.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably something you want to put on a resume. I got a cease and desist from Microsoft. Like my invention is so hot that one of the biggest companies in the world saw it, noticed, and said, no, can't do that. In the talk earlier, I said like no one likes Bitcoin, no one cares about Bitcoin. The biggest challenge for us in the gaming side is everyone wants what we dub internally as invisible Bitcoin. They want all of the things that Bitcoin has, the divisibility, the speed, the instantaneity, the no chargeback, all of those things, the censorship resistance, whatever, but they don't want to touch it. They don't want to deal with it. They don't want to have accounting to do with it. They don't want anything. And so you're saying, like, how do we present this to developers, right? How do we embark them on this journey? We don't sell them Bitcoin. We sell them the effect that our products have. So you introduce Bitcoin rewards into your little hyper casual game, for example, and suddenly your retention goes up, your KPIs go up, your ARPDAU goes up, et cetera. So then they say, how do you do that? And you say, well, it's, Bitcoin is the thing. It's like, oh, okay. So you can't sell people Bitcoin because they just don't care about Bitcoin. You have to sell them on the value that Bitcoin will give them, their business, their customers. And then when they discover that it's Bitcoin and you're like, but it's kind of invisible, right? So you don't have to worry about it. It's all managed. It's like, great, awesome. So in a long-term future, we want people to have Bitcoin, hold Bitcoin, self-custody, all of that. But you can't, when people don't care about Bitcoin, you can't expect them to just flip and say, whoa, this is the money of the future. We need to use it. You have to meet them where they're at. And so for us, the challenge is selling Bitcoin without selling Bitcoin. That's the hardest thing, actually.
Can I talk some shit about Microsoft real quick?
Yeah.
So a few months ago, I went to this AI hackathon in San Francisco, and one of the judges was this VC who's kind of in the Microsoft orbit, one of the portfolio AI companies. He was a big backer of, and he was kind of trying to sell me on why Microsoft and their kind of orbit of companies is going to be leading in AI. And he said, you really need to go back and read this CNBC interview that Bill Gates gave. I think it was like fall of 2023, something like that, maybe 2022. And he just goes into this like kind of like a side, soft-spoken way of saying that the future is not going to need people like visiting a website to click a search into a box. It's not going to need you going to a e-commerce site and typing in what you want into a box. It's going to be like AI agents, the level of automation of having everyone having their own personal AI assistant. And this investor guy made the point that like he's really fucking serious about like this killing Google and Amazon. Like this is Microsoft's path to ascendancy runs through AI agents. And what is their plan? What have they invested in? Microsoft is the largest investor in OpenAI. Satya was just overheard recently saying that, don't worry about any daylight between Microsoft and OpenAI. Microsoft is above them and in them and below them. It's like, it was really creepy. Like basically we own OpenAI. Their other massive investment has been in Inflection behind Pi, also trying to build this personal AI agent. And those two companies, OpenAI and Inflection, have been the main two flying to DC, trying to scare the shit out of these regulators to get them to regulate and put up the same kind of regulatory capture barriers to smaller startups like me. And so I just think Microsoft is the evil empire, and anyone who's willing to unite against them needs to.
Preach.
Yeah, that's great stuff. And I think whether it's Microsoft, Google, a lot of the narrative around these major companies is they're all anti-Bitcoin, right? Because it kind of takes away their profit, their revenue model that they've had, right? I mean, like, I don't know, as a podcast guy on YouTube, the narrative is that YouTube suppresses Bitcoin content. It suppresses like a lot of these narratives and things like that. So that's why I think, the open source and the revenue sharing models that you guys are, helping develop, utilizing Bitcoin, whether it's gaming, AI, are very powerful. And I think, other industries are going to start to catch on. So what I kind of think we're here in Austin, right? Live music capital of the world. Musicians is definitely another space that I could see this growing. Is there anywhere else that you guys kind of see, I guess, like, outside of gaming and AI, like some other industries that you think Bitcoin can truly revolutionize and, really start to change the game? And then, we're going to have companies like Microsoft kind of try to lay the hammer down.
Well, just before I answer that, Microsoft also invested $2.1 billion on Mistral, didn't they? Yeah.
Yep.
So basically, just to close that thought, like I mentioned, we are disruptors. to the incumbents. The incumbents fucking hate us, everything we stand for. And so they will buy everyone and the regulators and so on until you and I die. Like that's or they'll buy you out, right?
I can try.
Yeah. So I think gaming, AI are definitely two of the top, uses of Bitcoin at the moment. I think music, we like to call interactive entertainment. So it's notion of entertainment online, et cetera, that isn't just one unidirectional. So a game is interactive, podcasting is interactive, music listening is interactive. So Fountain and Wave Lake are two platforms that use our infrastructure, and it's amazing. It's the easiest way to onboard someone to Bitcoin. I say, like, you like podcasts? And they say, yeah. So here's another app, and they say, great. What is it? And I say, it's podcast with Bitcoin. And then that's it. You did it, right? It's the same way that we explain, we put money into games. So like, oh, we get it. So I think that the entertainment world will likely eat up Bitcoin relatively quickly. I think the value for value model in music and podcasting and streaming and YouTubing and game streaming, all that is going to suddenly, engulf Bitcoin. And, and you just got to wait for someone to continue printing money and Bitcoin to hit 100K and people start waking up, right? Like it or not, people have been, there's a tweet that was said a couple of weeks ago, which was like, it's like that Leonardo DiCaprio little meme, saying this. It's like, to all the builders, founders, and everyone who, has been eating glass for the past 2.5 years in this bear market, well done. Like, you made it. And all of a sudden, everyone starts calling you again. So you suffered for 2.5 years and now everyone's calling you. So, I just think it's now, and they'll come, and hopefully they won't buy us out. So.
Yeah, I see. It's funny we talk about music. Drake has been a Bitcoin promoter kind of quietly for a while, but now he's sharing Michael Saylor clips on Instagram to his, I don't know, he probably has 100 million followers, the biggest, music artist behind Taylor Swift. And the other kind of, where is Bitcoin going to be a huge component of? It's sports gambling. Sports gambling is so massive. You see it on commercials everywhere. It's kind of wild to see how, growing up, not long ago, this was illegal. This was like completely underground. Now sports gambling is, one of the biggest industries in the country, and Bitcoin is probably going to be the default currency of the sports gambling industry.
Yeah, real money gaming. Yeah, exactly.
I'm probably most excited about seeing Bitcoin become increasingly used in circular economies, El Salvador, and that's partly a few years ago what helped me kind of fall back down the Bitcoin rabbit hole a couple years ago, was just seeing what amazing stuff was being done in the beach of El Salvador, and then how that kind of went national, and now you've got an entire country. And I'm excited that like different countries and cities are going to kind of experiment with their own models. It's amazing coming back from Madeira and see just what one really motivated guy and Andre can like do in connecting an entire island almost to Bitcoin and build community there. But I'm excited for Bitcoin to be used in basically uncensorable peer-to-peer commerce. If you can just live entirely in the Bitcoin economy and you can pay for rides and deliveries and foods and your local farming and anything that you want in Bitcoin, allowing people to have a place to powerfully exit the old system too and have all of their basic needs met is really exciting to me.
Sick. I just wanted to add one thing. I think the name of the panel, right, is the future of Bitcoin. And the thing that comes to me a lot is during the 2020s or whatever, the Web3 world, the crypto world, the NFT world, was like everything and everyone was talking about that NFT and so on. And why is that? That's because of marketing, okay? Bitcoin has a marketing challenge. Bitcoin is not hot. Bitcoin is not sexy. Bitcoin is not cool. Bitcoin's nothing. It's actually boring as hell. So that's why when you say, oh, NFTs or Bitcoin, NFTs are cool. It's art. It's this cool thing. Bitcoin is not cool. And I think it's because, a lot of companies in the space, ours included, are building. We're not here like marketing, etc. We're building like foundational infrastructural layer for this to grow. So you don't actually get to make it so sexy because it isn't so sexy. I think the next wave for us to get Bitcoin into the hands of the Joe Schmo, the John Smith, and the Jane is you need to make it appealing. You need to make it cool. You need to make it exciting to have Bitcoin, to own Bitcoin, to talk about Bitcoin. And that's a brand problem. Bitcoin is known worldwide, but it's just that Bitcoin B. Like, people don't feel Bitcoin. And I think we need to do that. Each and every one of us who are building in the space, we need to make Bitcoin cool. I don't know how else to say this, but like if Bitcoin's cool, we win like by miles. So yeah, that's to me one of the challenges of the future. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, well, hopefully with this price pumping this year, maybe Bitcoin hitting 100K, we'll all become cool and get girlfriends this year, right? So, all right. Well, this was an outstanding panel. So why don't you guys give it up for them and their building in